I got asked several questions recently, both on posts as well as in my Q&As, about how to become a Poi or flow arts instructor. So I figured that'd make a great topic for a video. Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I am bringing to bear my decades worth of experiences teaching to help you learn how to get into it for yourself. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow DNA, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these amazing companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. And a special thanks to the first non-business friend of the channel, Johnny Howard. Thanks so much for your support, Johnny. I first started teaching Poi shortly after I moved to Washington, D.C. in the spring of 2008. I've done everything from teach informally at spin jams to in-person classes in dance studios, private lessons, workshops at festivals, and, oh yeah, just a few video tutorials as well. Just a few. In that time, I've learned a lot about what does and doesn't work from the perspective of teaching flow arts, both from trial and error, as well as watching other people teach. So let's dive into some of those lessons learned and how they can apply to you. So first up, I need to get something out of the way, because I see many people in the flow arts world saying that anyone and everyone is a teacher, that you can learn something from anybody you interact with, and that the divide between teacher and student is an artificial one. And I strongly disagree. A teacher is someone motivated to learn how to teach as a skill, just as spinning poi itself or performance are skills. A teacher is somebody who cultivates the ability not only to be able to impart knowledge and information in other people, but also inspire them to continue to explore those topics on their own. Can anyone become a teacher? Sure, but it requires a commitment to learning those skills. Not everybody wants to, and not everybody needs to. But I think that it is seriously disrespecting the time, energy, and effort that good teachers put into their craft to say that everyone is a teacher. Just because you can demonstrate doesn't make you a teacher. Okay, so the next obvious question then. Who should become a teacher? And when should you start teaching? My answer to this one is honestly that you should start teaching when people ask you to do it, when they recognize something about your technique or some tricks that you perform that they want to learn themselves. It's not uncommon that people want to volunteer this information, that they see other people struggling or working on something and want to step in to help. The problem here is that this is frequently done without consent. If a person isn't asking for help, then foisting it upon them can frequently be unwelcome, to say nothing of having some complicated implications when it comes to whether you're truly doing it to help the person or just feel good about yourself. When the people around you identify things they want to learn from you, when they invite you to share with them what you know, that's when you have the opportunity to step into this role and start to acquire the skills to teach. Okay, so people are now asking you to teach them stuff. What should you teach them? This gets a little complicated, but the short answer, once again, is what they're asking for. Kind of. It's not infrequent that people don't know what exactly to ask for. They just know that there's a kind of general place that they want to be able to get to, but may not be able to put words to the specifics. In times like that, it can be helpful to set down goals. This person wants to learn poi. Why? They want to spin fire for their friends, they say. Cool. In that case, they probably only need the basics, maybe reels, butterflies, weaves, and stalls then. But they're also going to need to learn about fire safety and acquire the materials necessary to spin safely. This other person wants to perform. Why? They saw another performer that inspired them, and they want to be them. Cool. See if you can find a video of that performer and see what tricks they're using. This person is probably also going to want to learn about how to write a routine, how to pace it, interact with the audience, and work on presentation. All these should be included in their goals. Or maybe you spend enough time teaching that you develop your own unique approach to the art and want to teach that. Your goals here are to see how you believe that the pieces fit together. What should be learned first? What is a student going to need in order to get from point A to point B? Once you know what you're going to teach people, the question then arises of how you teach them. And this is when the unique skills around teaching come into play. So what are those skills? Not gonna lie, that would take an entire video series, but I'll do my best to summarize a few overarching concepts here. First, you have to look into and understand how people learn. Are there mnemonic devices or comparative elements of movement that you can give them to help break a thing down? Do they need to be given the theory behind why a trick works or some other tricks it may be related to? Do they need visual aids? The philosophy of how people learn is called pedagogy, and it's both esoteric as well as scientific. Some things about learning we do know for sure. Others have to be felt or even worked through on the spot, depending on who your student is and what they're struggling with. Find ways to reinforce knowledge. When we build new connections in our brains, those that have the most connections with other parts of the brain are those that last. Every night, our bodies go through and flush away many of the weaker connections. If you can find ways to connect new knowledge to physical, verbal, and visual stimulus, then the knowledge is more likely to remain. Give people exercises to do when they get home. Again, repetition is key to retaining knowledge. If you can give people something they can practice regularly on their own time and make it a habit, the more likely they are not only to retain the information, but to get comfortable with it. Summarize lessons after you give them. People retain information so much better if you do a summary of a lesson at the end. Have people pull out their cameras and record your summary so they can take it home and have it for reference. Okay, so people have asked you to teach, you've decided what to teach, and just as importantly, how to do it. What else do you need? You need to get better at it. Teaching isn't a journey with a defined endpoint. It's a journey that will last for as long as you're participating in it. Because spoilers, your first few lessons are gonna be awful. You'll struggle to figure out how to pace a lesson, how to get through the blocks your students encounter, and yes, you'll even have unsuccessful lessons where the student doesn't get to where you want them to. All of these things are almost certainly going to happen, and they don't mean that you're a bad teacher. It means you have more to learn yourself. First up, take feedback from your students. After every lesson, session, or workshop, draw up a feedback form for them to fill out. Ask them how the lesson went, how good a job you did as a teacher, what were the most effective things you did, and what were the least effective things you did. If you need a template, I'll include a link in the description to the one that I use for my own lessons. The whole point though, give them a way to communicate to you what's working and what's not. I know that this can be kind of scary. Nobody wants to be told that they're doing a bad job after all, but there's no way to get to doing a good job without learning why you're doing a bad job in the first place. This is a part of the process. And you'll also have the strangest insights through it. One workshop I taught, I high-fived a student when they got down a trick that they'd been struggling with. It was something spontaneous that I forgot I did as soon as I did it. And it turned up in my feedback as one of the most important things I did in that workshop. Now that positive reinforcement is built into every workshop and class that I teach. In addition to taking feedback, you also need to spend time reminding yourself what it's like to be a student as well. You're going to want to take classes and workshops from other people. Take a look at other teachers who are respected in your niche and go check out their classes. What do they do differently? What do they do similarly? What is it like being a student in their class? Do you feel like a priority? Is there a point where you start tuning out? I have taken a lot of workshops in my day. Some where the teachers surprised me with the quality of their material, and others where it turned out that it was just an hour of the teacher performing their shtick to an audience that enjoyed interacting with someone they respected, but ultimately learned nothing from. Seeing how other people teach will make you yourself a better teacher. Do not underestimate the value of this. So let's look at a case study. I have a workshop called Fundamentals of Tech that I've been teaching now for over a decade. It's based on building up students to performing Zan's Diamond, both to show them how capable they are, as well as how to break down tricks for themselves. It starts by teaching 4 linear extensions, up and down, side to side, and on both diagonals. And from there, we go into building up anti-spin flowers by connecting those linear extensions into shapes. We go from boxes to triangles, and then we start to tweak that triangle. First adding a line down the middle of it to turn it into an arrow, and then learning the arrow pointing the other way. Next, we practice switching back and forth between the arrows, and when it can be done seamlessly, I spring on the students that they've just learned Zan's Diamond, and that it was the hardest poi trick you could do when I first started spinning, and that they all learned how to do it in less than an hour. I don't tell my students what they're learning until they've already learned it, because I think sometimes jargon gets in the way of people learning something. They see big words and instantly think, I can't do that. Every step we go through is reinforced both with visual aids as well as working through the sequence of hand positions without the poi, making sure to have people recite those positions out loud to build more connections in the brain with visual, physical, and verbal elements to it. Finally, when we get to actually putting together Zhan's diamond, I switch from teaching the lesson generally to the whole class to going around and helping each student individually. This is both to give them some time to practice and get the skills down, as well as to make sure that I give some degree of that attention to each of them. Of course, when a student gets the trick, they also get a high five from me. At the end of the workshop, I show them Zhan's diamond in all timing and direction modes so that they know where they can go next and summarize the full lesson. This includes all the individual steps we use to get from learning linear isolations to applying them to Zhan's diamond. I ask for their email addresses and send them my feedback form, telling them it's to help me make the class better for the next group of students that take it from me. So we have a lesson with a very clear goal and a very clear theory behind it. A series of steps reinforced through multiple learning styles that gives both group as well as individual attention, followed by a request for feedback. I think this is easily my best workshop, and it took 8 years of teaching it regularly for me to dial it into the best version of itself. And I still think that there's room for improvement. And so for all you would-be teachers out there, I have one final piece of information to impart to you. Teaching is a wonderful and incredibly rewarding pursuit that takes time to get good at, but can also support you both spiritually as well as financially. But always remember that ultimately, it's not really about you. You're merely a vessel or a guide. Ultimately, it's about giving your students what they need. Your job is to serve them. If you're up for the challenge, I strongly encourage you. Did you get anything out of this video? Please keep the conversation going by leaving me a like, comment, sharing, and subscribing to help other people find this video and to help my channel grow. Do you like poi content? Do you like tutorials, flow sessions, and vlogs on flow arts culture? Consider signing up to support my work. I want to bring flow arts to the wider world and help people connect with their brains and their bodies through prop spinning. So help me do it. Head on over to patreon.com/DirexFactorPoi and sign up. You can do that either by clicking on the card that just popped up if you're watching on YouTube, or by using the link down in the description. Not only will you be supporting this mission, but you'll also be able to get early access to all of my content, a vote in what content I produce in the future, and a host of other awesome rewards, such as getting a special weekly poi lesson delivered straight to your inbox that is available only to my supporters. Go give that a look, and please consider supporting this channel. Thank you in advance. And on the topic of thank yous, I just wanted to throw out a huge one because this video would not be possible without the kind support of these wonderful people right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon, and they, along with the people listed down in the description, help to make this video and all the videos on my channel possible. On the topic of feedback, I'm trying out reversing my usual stinger and putting this thank you at the end rather than beginning of this spot. What do you think? Let me know. Are you a teacher in the flow arts? What's the best advice you can impart here? There's so much more to cover, including how to turn it into a business if you want to, how to get selected to teach at festivals, etc. Would you like to see me follow up with one or more of these topics? Let me know down in the comments. I'll include a link to some other vlogs I've done on similar topics down in the description, as well as up on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure to get outside to flow or teach today, and I'll see you with a new video on Wednesday. Peace.